In this video, we're going to be looking at one of the most important and key things that you can be doing to keep up to date, and that's about building networks. So firstly, why is building networks an important thing to be doing? It allows you to keep up with new developments in your field and your professional sector. It allows you to build relevant contacts, so to get to know new people in that sector who maybe are doing very similar things to yourself. It allows you to find expertise outside of your organisation for different projects that you might be working on, and to start up relationships with other professionals. So to create a whole wide set, a network of peers, people who you can relate to, people who you can learn a lot from. It also allows you to build different relationships with your audience or people who might become a potential audience for the events that you might be putting on or organising. It allows you to find out about opportunities, and also people will start to refer and invite you to things and for things. So this can be a great way, and is often actually one of the ways that people find their next job, is by being recommended or being kind of invited to come along to something. When we're thinking about ways that you can start to build a network, there's a number of different things that will be quite useful to remember. Some of the ways to do this quite easily are by attending events and starting to introduce yourself and starting to make conversation with people who are there. Also through securing mentors. So a mentor is somebody who is a little bit further ahead of you in terms of a field of professional work that you're really interested in or you want to get further in doing. What having a mentor allows you to do is to share their experience that they have built up. They can give you advice on how to tackle different situations that they've already had to work through, and they'll have a wider set of contacts and a wider network than you will at the start of your professional career. Also, I'm talking about online networks, so public networks, things like Twitter and LinkedIn, that you can have a public profile as part of. Thinking also about personal introductions, so your peers or colleagues, who they know and who they could introduce you to. When you're thinking about building a network, it's also worth thinking about developing this further through presenting and publishing your experience and this experience of your organisation. There are lots of ways of doing that. It might be through publishing online, it might be as simple as blogging, or it may be attending a conference and giving a talk to hundreds of people. My first piece of advice when you're starting to build your network is to start small and to start today. And this is what I'm going to be asking you to do. So you need to think about who is already in your network, who are your colleagues, who are your peers, who are your professional contacts, who do these people already know, and who could be your mentors. So this is a really good list to start with, just with a pen and paper, writing down the names of those people and the connections that they've already got. And in this video, we're going to be looking at ways to set up a professional online profile. So there are loads of different platforms by which you could be setting up your professional online profile. And we're going to focus in this video particularly on Twitter. So thinking about this advice of starting small and starting today, I want you to set up a professional online profile for yourself. You'll need to choose a kind of @username, so this will be your handle, this will be the name that you can give other people so that they can contact you and find you quite easily on Twitter. You'll need a professional profile photograph, a mini biography. So this, in the case of Twitter, is only 160 characters, so it's very short, very condensed. And thinking about a pinned tweet. So this is a tweet, short piece of information, probably with a picture or a link through to something else that you want to have as the first tweet that people encounter when they go to your Twitter profile. When you're setting up this type of professional online identity, you need to think carefully about your persona. So your keyword in all of this thinking is professional. You need to choose a professional username. So sometimes maybe people will have a nickname or maybe a character that they like, or some kind of jokey title as a handle. For your professional online persona, you really need to choose something that reflects that. So starting with your real name, your full name, those are really good places to start. Make sure that it's memorable or simple, and that it doesn't include too many different numbers or different characters that people might get confused by. When you're adding all of the other parts to build your profile, think about when you're writing your bio, what makes you different? So what are the unique things about you? What are your professional interests? Or maybe your association with others. So quite often people will have the organisation who they work for somewhere within that little short bio. You'll need to use keywords so that other people can find you easily. And it's really useful to have your location on there. So your town or your city, the place where you're based out of. When you're starting to build your list of people who you follow, you also need to remember that you're starting to build your feed. So this is the stuff that you're going to see every time you log on to Twitter, every time you check that feed. And this can actually be quite a useful and productive professional space for you. So thinking again about following people who share your professional interests, maybe also who share your association with other people. So that might be through your location, it might be through the type of work that you're doing, or it may also be, other people who work in your organisation. Thinking again about keywords, so you can search using keywords and key terms on Twitter to see who's talking about those and then follow those people. And also that location part again. So you might be using this as a way to find out people who are working in your field and in your part of the country, maybe in your city or your town or your region. And it gives you a chance and an opportunity to connect with people all around the world. So on a kind of international location. If there's somewhere that you're visiting, you might start to follow people from that place so that you can see what they're suggesting and what they're posting about. It'll give you that bit of insider information. The next thing that you're going to want to do is to start to build followers. So start to build people who will actually see your tweets, see the information that you're sharing and start conversations with you. When you're thinking about this, work out who's already in your network. So tell people you know professionally that you're on Twitter, get them to follow you, ask them directly if they'll do that. Start to share and retweet interesting information. So maybe somebody that you're following shares information about an event in your town. You can retweet that, you can comment on that, you can favourite that, and all of that will make that person just a bit more aware of you. So they're more likely to follow you back. You can also start to join conversations with other people. So so long as you're kind of going about this in a way where you understand how conversations on Twitter happen, everyone is saying everything publicly and publishing all the time. So really that makes it a very open platform for people to ask each other questions and to join in different conversations about different things. Make sure that you're contributing relevant posts as well. So if you get annoyed by people you know posting things about what they've eaten for dinner, then in the professional situation, you probably really wouldn't be posting that unless it's relevant, unless it's something, an event or something that you're going to professionally. That's where obviously you can play it by ear. And you can start to promote events and activity that you know is going on. So by tweeting about it, by retweeting information, you're helping out other people and other organisations to promote what they're doing. You're spreading the news to a wider network, and they'll really appreciate that. The next thing I want you to bear in mind is the importance of being consistent. So, with all of this network building activity that you're going to be doing, I would say doing it a little bit at a time, but quite often, is a really good way to approach this. So, you'll be doing things like posting, retweeting, and following other people. You'll be tagging people in relevant conversations and using hashtags to join other people's conversations or to allow things to show up in trends. And you'll be building an understanding of Twitter etiquette. So you'll be observing how people interact with each other and working out what all of those kind of unwritten rules are in this environment. The next thing that you're going to need to do is translate this online contact into face-to-face contact. So this can kind of seem a bit scary sometimes, but it really shouldn't be. One of the easy ways to do it is to go to events that you find out about on, through your feed. And again, little and often. So, you can't go to every single event that happens every single night. But thinking about maybe one event a week that's relevant to you and relevant to your professional interests. You can tweet that you're going to be there beforehand, so you might be tagging the organisers of the events, saying that you're excited about what's happening and what's going on. While you're there, you might take some pictures, you might post positive feedback about the event. Again, in a professional situation, being positive rather than just critical or irritated about things is quite important. And start looking out for event hashtags. So different events that you go to, maybe it's a conference or a festival, will probably have like a dedicated hashtag that other people are using. And you can include this in your tweets to become part of that wider conversation. And when you do meet people at events, you can ask them if they're on Twitter or if they have different online profiles, and you can tweet them to say it was nice to meet them there. So you'll have said that face to face, and then this little tweet after the event means that they just have a little triggered memory of who you are. They probably follow you on Twitter, all of those kind of things. And before you know it, you'll have started to build a professional network that not only has online facets like being on Twitter, following each other on Twitter, but also translates into face-to-face environments.